Coming up, the final jostling for positions are over. The fields are set, we await the draws. But now we know which horses will compete for diamonds, emeralds and rubies on Jewels Day. We take a look at those who will compete on Queen's Birthday weekend and the harness racing season finale. And it's the calm before the storm. We look ahead to the weekend's best bets from Alexandra Park to Invercargill.
Guess you could say that I need her.
Yeah, welcome into your box seat, brought to you in association with Sweet Lou, standing at Woodlands. Of course, a very important sale for Sweet Lou, and he did very well on Sunday at Karaka. Evening, everyone. Great to have you part of the show. Craig Thompson, you're with us as per the norm. Terrific night at Addington the other night, and the old Jewels puzzle starting to come together.
It is, Greg, even to you, to Michael as well. Yeah, there was dominant displays heading into the Jewels in 10 days' time, Greg. I mean, obviously Spanish Armada, Spankham, they led the way. We expected that, but what we didn't expect, in the Jewels jigsaw, there's 3 or 4 categories that's still got to be solved. Al Mac getting beaten in the 2-year-old fillies brigade. Then the 4-year-old trotters is still very, very open with obviously Mark Calder and Temporale and a few finishing back in the field there. And obviously also with the 2-year-old trotters being very open. I think this week we'll find out with the barrier draws that they're going to be very essential.
Yep, they certainly are, Michael. Friday lunchtime, there'll be owners, punters, all of the harness racing enthusiasts looking at those draws, as I say, evening to you.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged equation, Greg, as I say hi to you and Craig, and big hi to everybody at home. I hope you've been staying warm. For some people, if you're 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, the battle now is, do horses above you pull out? Do you get in? And then you'll know that at noon, and then 2 minutes later that could be good, or it could be barrier 10 or 13 and it's bad. So yeah, Friday's going to be moving day for the fixed odds markets. It'll be the biggest day, impactful wise on the markets. I think it's exciting, Jules. I think the right horses are in most races. We're missing a couple of big names, but considering injuries aside, what we've got, it's a very, very good day coming up. And 6 odds on favourites pre-draw. Interesting to see how that pans out post-draw.
All right, plenty to get through, so let's go back to Addington Raceway, where the majority of our focus will be tonight, and we go to the Breeders' Oaks. Third time they've sponsored the race. This was the home stretch battle. Let's get Mark Mack to bring them home.
Spanish Armada's gone to the lead. Bonnie Joan tried to match her. She just can't do it. And the Spaniards are clear. Spanish Armada sailing away from Bonnie Joan. A clear third is Utmost Delight. But Spanish Armada absolutely sensational in the Oaks. Beat Bonnie Joan, Utmost Delight and Party On.
Gee, she's been very brave again. She's an outstanding filly and she had to be the best.
Oh, that's right, Greg. You know, the conditions and everything. She's just trained up for this race, just beautiful. You know, she did all the work and just proved too tough. You know, we were pretty confident going in and made it into a stayers race.
Down the back straight, there was half a chance you almost were going to drop in the trail there, but then you really asked her to step it out and put it to Bonnie Joan, who was going to be the hardest to beat, and she just thoroughly outstayed the lot of them.
Yeah, she did. You know, we always had the intention to make it, like I said, a stayers race. You know, I nearly got in there behind, but I'm probably, in hindsight, very glad that I didn't, you know, and just let her get up there and do a bit.
You grabbed your second Oaks, you did it with Fight for Glory. I think it was pretty wet that night as well, and you've done it again. Congratulations, Natalie.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, the All-Stars winning their 4th out of the last 5 and the 13th horse to do the Neville into the Oaks double.
Yeah, back-to-back Group 1s. And Greg, I mean, this horse is very, very good, but I'm not sure if it's stablemates. I'm talking Dream About Me, Adore Me, Fight for Glory that have won previous Oaks, could have gone any better. On a wet night, they've gone 3-9 on a track that was very hard. It compressed, obviously, as the night progressed. But she sat outside Bonnie Joan and put it to her from about the 1,000-metre mark and just kept putting it to her. And they were 10 lengths clear of the rest when they headed for home here. So, for me, dominant performance. 7 wins from 10 starts this season, Michael Guerin. Quite amazing.
I've only seen one New Zealand filly in the last 10 years go this well, and she got beat. Adore Me in the Derby 2 years ago behind a Hoka punter in a very hot Derby, which has gone on to have lots of open class form. It's excellent. This is the best winning performance I've seen by a filly pacer in New Zealand for 10 years. That's crushing. They just don't do that. They don't sit parked over 2,600, beat up a national record holder and run away and hide from them. The most staggering thing about this is you could still get with the TAB, we give them a pretty hard time, $1.90 after that race. she should be $1.50. She draws to lead, she's unbeatable in the duels. She draws to sit parked, she'll just savage whoever's in her way. And we see here Natalie, this is when Natalie's at her best. She's on the second line, 2 on the second line, she posies up, balances up, and then she just goes, look out, get out of my way. Bonnie Joan was very good. Dexter didn't knock it around once it was beaten at the top of the straight. The rest of them, not because they were poor, but because the margins are so big, Greg, you can't possibly make a case that they'll win the duels.
No, that's right. And do we think Bonnie Joan will be more potent over the shorter course? Is that something we can take out of that race?
Well, I think the barrier draws are essential for her, as against with Spanish Armada. They're relevant, but not as much so, because she can come from anywhere, and we've seen that with a second line draw there. But I tell you what, who forced her hand, Natalie Rasmussen, was Mark Purdon. Because Party On was going to come at the 2,000 metre mark and went for 200 metres, didn't go anywhere. Natalie came out and thought, listen, I'll come forward and Party On will follow me around. She looked around at about the 1800 and Mark was still last at that point. So she probably sat outside the leader a lot earlier than she wanted to, but in the end it made it a real staying contest.
Didn't matter. 700 odd thousand she's got in the bank. Let's hear from the Beaten Brigade.
Dexter, talk us through the run.
Yeah, we got a pretty good run out. A few come out pretty hard inside us, so we just slotted in there and then made our move. Yeah, we had our chance. The winner was just too good, really. She monstered us. So, but yeah, couldn't be more happy with our girl. She's, you know, gone from strength to strength throughout the season, and a couple more assignments to finish it off. But really wrapped with her run, Matt.
A super run. She just sort of tended to get a little bit keen early with the early rush, and horses around her and over 2,600 is never really ideal. But she finished the race off super. The leaders got away on me a wee bit. Probably wouldn't have beaten them, but you know, she pegged them back a little bit in the straight, and gutsy performance, I thought, with the time they run and the weather here tonight. I was really happy with her.
Mark, from the draw, what did you think of Party On's effort tonight?
Yeah, I was wrapped with the run. I never got sort of in early, and the speed was on. I went to move forward, but Dex popped out and the speed was really on, so I ended up coming back. But you know, she got home really strongly, and a good effort to run fourth.
Bit of an improvement from last week, do you feel?
Yeah, a big improvement. I was really happy with her tonight, so hopefully she's on the way up.
30-odd beaten drivers from throughout the night. Big thank you to Matt Cross, who came from Riccarton to do that, and also Matt Markham, who was with us on the night, helped us pre-start. So
and
big
we'll be
ups to
hoping
them.
to give you all that sort of information on Jules Day too. The only horse missing there was Delightful Memphis, but clearly this season she hasn't been good enough to beat Spanish Armada. There's Greg O'Connor, our man, stable hand for all stars on this occasion. Here you are, Gregory, and luckily you married a horse trainer, so having a bit of a problem here. I think Karen's probably pretty embarrassed watching this effort.
Well, to be fair, trying to put it on while you've got the microphone in your hand, I won't be attempting that again, mind you. She wasn't.
You got there, brother.
Yeah,
it's a good skill to have. Not often you get to touch a horse who's won an Oaks by 6 3/4 lengths. I can't have her beaten. I think Bonnie Joan could beat her around Cambridge because being parked would be a bigger problem. But to be perfectly honest, she'll be winning the duels unless she draws one on the second line.
Put something into perspective. The horse that ran third in this race and was beaten 10 lengths was Utmost Delight, and she ran a second faster than Adore Me did, running third. Quite incredible on a wet night. So there's the market for the jewels. Obviously, Spanish Armada into $1.50, and if she draws inside barrier 5, she'll be short on that going into the jewels. Bonnie Jones 41 into $3.90. She's actually short on that post the Oaks. Then we've got Party On. Michael, I'll come to you on her. Is her season come to an end?
I think it's going to be interesting what happens after the jewels, whether they choose to go with Spanish Armada, who I think they will, to the Breeders' Crown. If you take her, you can't take Party On. They can't both go. No. If Spanish Armada was mine, I would go all the way. I would say Queensland Oaks, let's do it. Let's go to the Breeders' Crown. Effectively, who cares if you come back at 4? Because next season she's got a race, Dream About Me, Piccadilly Princess, The Orange Agent, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? If she doesn't race at 4, she never races again. She might retire close to $1 million. I think with these 3-year-old fillies, it's worth going all the way because the 4-year-old season can be so hard. And next season, Greg, I think it's going to be incredibly hard with The Orange Agent and Dream About Me.
Yeah, tough times. A little bit about handicapping later on in the program as to where those sort of horses are going to go next season. Let's go to the second of the Group 1s. It was for the 2-year-olds, the Garrard Sires Stakes Final, the 34th running, and the horse that had a tough run last week didn't this week. His name, Spankum. Let's get Mark Max. Really good call.
Ducked in, decked 3 of them. Spankum raced away. Colpika went to second. Spankum tied them up, donned the leather, and did just that. Spankum won by 3 and beat Colpika.
Tonight, Mark, he didn't have to do a lot sitting in the 1-1. That was the greatest spot to be.
Yeah, like I left the gate and was parked early, but pleased to see the other horse come around, and he had a great run from there on.
Look, he bounced off last week's run. You were worried about that, but he's clearly got a great constitution, this horse.
Oh, look, he has. I was a little concerned about him, and it was such a hard run last week, but, you know, to his credit, he just bounced back and he was every bit as good tonight.
Same set of connections. They won last week, of course, with the Devil's Own, and they get this one as well, so it's been a fun week for them.
Yeah, it's too right it has. They love the horses, and they really got a lot of them out there.
Sixth driving-wise, seventh training-wise for Mark Purdon. Great performance from Spankham. Showed what he is capable when he does get the right sort of run, and sometimes he doesn't even need that. But, of course, a fair amount of controversy about what happened at the top of the straight, Michael. Yeah,
and firstly on the winner, I think the week before both him and Alto Maestro had difficult runs, hard runs, but clearly he weathered that better in saying that he had the better run. I think he's the best juvenile in the country. I think most people watching at home probably feel the same. Over a mile, Alto Maestro might bounce back after the hard run, 2-week gap might help him. The Devil's Own, this is really interesting, the last part here. You see him here, he gets a hit on the side and he ducks in. Now, it's not like Natalie's trying to knock him over. Could she have made more effort to straighten him? Well, when this roll with the sign happens pretty quickly. She gives him a tap and in he goes. 2-year-olds, when they're tired, I think they can do this. I don't think there was a lot in it, but it's unfortunate because Aloka got the backwash of it. Spankham's up and gone. Culpeper, very, very good in second. You could also, and there'll be people who do this, watch that and go, well, it's team driving. Natalie Rasmussen has attacked on the Devil's Own. But go back to reality. That's how she drives. That's exactly how she drove Spanish Armada. Exactly the same drive.
And Spankham did the same thing the week before.
Exactly. So that's how she drove Ultimate Machete. Now, because Ultimate Machete in the Sire Stakes was good enough to sit parked and run away and win, and because Spanish Armada was good enough to sit parked and run away and win, no one questions the drive. In this occasion, her stablemate's in the 1-1, but she's only driving the way she usually drives. And when she didn't drive Ultimate Machete like that in the Derby, she got slagged for it. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say you can't put them in the race and attack the leader, or if you do put them in the race and attack the leader, we're going to accuse you of team driving. The bottom line is Spankham's the best of the juveniles. He had the best run and he won.
And of course, under the rules, Aloka didn't finish in the top 5, so couldn't protest. There was no siren.
And he had Alto Maestro covered at the top
and the
of
other part to that is you've got to prove that you would have beaten at home. Well, they couldn't have proved that.
Absolutely. It does help that the same set of owners own Spankham and also the Devil's Own. But I think she drove the race that she was going to drive from the draw that she had. She couldn't go back in that race and still be competitive.
Well,
she had to come out and get round them.
Had Spankham not been in that race, would she have driven the Devil's Own any differently?
No.
No. So then that's all you need to ask. I mean, the whole team driving thing gets to be a little bit silly. If you're on a $4.50 chance, you can't sit last. There's nowhere else in the running line she can sit. She's got to take off. I get a little bit tired of it because she's driving the way she drives every week.
Yep, and we saw that in a couple of other races on the night. One we've just looked at. Let's hear from the beaten drivers.
Brent Culpeper, your thoughts on the run?
Oh, he went good, Matty. You know, he had his chance. You know, he followed Mark all the way. But, yeah, again, he wasn't 100% on the last bend, but better than last week. And, look, he's gone as good as I could expect.
Nat, a horse who's done a good job. What did you make of tonight's run?
Oh, look, I thought his run was very good. I think last week he was very lucky to win. He's not a natural 2-year-old. I thought his run tonight was full of merit, but just didn't like the way that top of the straight when he got past Alto Maestro, that he just did lay in so aggressively. Look, I think he's a horse after the Jewels, be looking for a good break, and he should come back a nice 3-year-old, but he's just got that little bit of a streak in him, so that might stop him from being a great horse.
Dexter, he looks like he's a pretty tidy animal. What did you think of the run?
Yeah, it was a good run, Matt. Last week might have, knocked him a little bit, but he felt great. We had one horse look at us early on, and then the stablemate come and look at us again in the second quarter. So, it was a pretty strong effort to still hold on, I thought.
Matt, from the barrier draw, were you impressed with how things unfolded for your horse?
Look, tonight, Matt, a little bit disappointed. He took a few shortcuts late in the piece, and just below par, really.
All right, here's the market for the Commodore Hotel Emerald. Spankham into $1.50 pre-barrier draw. The Devil's Own just edging Alto Maestro favouritism-wise.
Look, a clear favourite, obviously. Barrier draws could change that. Alto Maestro I wouldn't give up on. I think he's got that speed where he's going to be a factor over the mile. I think the horse who's really caught everybody's eye in the last 2 weeks, Craig's Culpeper. Yeah. Really strong, doing a good job, and a big track Ashburton should suit him. But it's hard to make a winning case for many outside
Well,
the top
three are really starting to stand out at the moment, Greg, but probably the one that we don't know about is Aloka, because in consecutive weeks we haven't really been able to...
Mentally, he's been hammered, hasn't he?
He has, because, I mean, 2 starts ago it was his own fault. Last week he was a victim of circumstances, and we don't really know how he's travelling in either race. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have beaten the winner 2 starts ago, but we don't know what was going to happen there. So he's probably one that the jury's out on at the moment, and I'd still be a little bit positive of him, because he's a horse that has shown so much early on with Nigel McGrath, and I would say he's not an outside top 3 chance.
Yeah, and the chances of him drawing barrier 1 like he has the last 2 weeks, though, yeah, they're shortening.
You know, it's remarkable though. Holmes DG drew barrier 1 in 3 consecutive Miracle Miles.
Yeah, so it can happen. It can happen.
The odds of that happening are 216 to 1.
Oh, there you go, 216 to 1. Nice work. The trains.
Michael went to school.
Right, moving on to, speaking of Blair Orange and of course Nigel McGrath, Dizzy Miss Lizzie. Again, a classic call from Mark Mack as he brings them home in the PGG Wrights and 2-year-old fillies final.
Comes for New York Rain. It's Elmac headed off by New York Rain. Better Joy, Dizzy Miss Lizzie. Better Joy, Dizzy Miss Lizzie and New York Rain. There's a new supermodel on the scene. It's Lizzie. Dizzy Miss Lizzie won it. Beat New York Rain. And third over Better Joy.
Don't want to underestimate the performance of Nigel McGrath here, because she's taken a little bit of getting used to, this girl.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. You know, she trialled up good her first time off the place, and you know, the more time she went away from home, she just got more and more fired up, and Nigel's altered a bit of steering gear and a little bit of bit change here and there, and you know, she settled nice tonight and you know, got over top of them pretty well.
It's nice to see that too, given a lead towards the Jewels. She's got the gate speed to put herself there, but she can follow the speed as well, and she had to be very quick the last furlong tonight.
Yeah, that's right, mate. You know, she did settle well, which is the key for her tonight, and her gate speed early put her in the right spot, but you know, she's just learning all the time, and as you say, they didn't go a lot through the middle, and she had to be pretty fast to get over top of some nice fillies.
26th running of this race, and the gear change that Blair was talking about, she got very fierce in her second start, so put a stronger bit on, did Nigel McGrath, and it's clearly worked the Oracle.
He's magnificent with those young horses, Nigel. He's good at identifying talent. This is wide open now. I mean, I think everybody thought Elmac would win, and she underperformed for mine. I think they'll take the pull-down blinds off her, but gate speed, Dizzy Miss Lizzie, she's very few convictions at this stage. I thought second and third were really good, and Elmac was disappointing. So, look, she's right in the jewels. Wonderful performance from the dam of this horse, back of the USSR. Now, she's had 3 foals of racing age. This one, who's a real live jewels chance, who's in the 4-year-old division. She's Hard Day's Night, I think it's called. Yep. It's in. Yep. And she had Lady Madonna as her 3-year-old filly, who, had she not gone offshore, almost certainly would have qualified. This mare, back of the USSR, could have had 3 filly foals who'd all qualified for the jewels. Well, that would probably be a record. In trotting, I think it's happened. It wouldn't have happened in pacing before.
And they only paid 19,000.
19,
yeah,
Peter
so
and Karen Bogue.
It wasn't an expensive buy. Got 74,000 for winning that race. I think the mares left 5 foals were all fillies, Michael. So what's the mass of them all being fillies?
What?
You know, halfway. Quickly.
But yeah, just on her. I mean, she's obviously that run 2 starts ago. You put the line through it as she pulled very hard. And she's got quick get up and go speed. We showed that on debut. Now, again, at the trials, a fortnight before going into this race, and obviously picking them up inside the last 200 metres. Changeovers don't usually do that, Greg. They're more robust, tough types, but this one's got high speed.
Yeah, if you took the fact that we know that she's by changeover out of play, you'd say, oh, she's a Betters, or she's an American Ideal, or an Art Major.
Absolutely.
But no, she's by changeover. All right, here's what the beaten drivers had to say.
Josh, New York Rain, you must have been pleased with the run.
Yeah, great run, Matt. You know, she's worked off the gate, and you know, she had it there for a minute. She was in front, but you know, the winner was good on the night. She's come off my back and you know, pulled wide, and she's got me. But look, great run. Dad's pleased. It's good for Dad. He owns it himself, so really pleased.
Well, Cran giving her a wee freshen up work the Oracle decks.
Yeah, she's really thrived since she got back home. You know, we're pretty confident going tonight that she'd run a good race. Her work had been, you know, really good. So, and she showed that tonight. She was right there at the finish, but a couple just got past her. But yeah, really happy.
Well, it turned into a wee bit of a war out there, Nat. What did you make of your girls' run?
Oh, I thought she was bloody awful, to be honest with you. Just never picked up the bit at any stage. Even off the gate, she was lethargic and sluggy. And I had taken the half blinds off her. Obviously, big mistake. They're going back on for the jewels. No, just awful. Nothing good I can say about it.
Zach, Caitlin Clark, what were your thoughts on the run?
Yeah, no, I was really happy with her. She ran home pretty well off a pretty quick quarter, and you can't do much from where we were, and the ones that run first, second, third, fourth all come off the fence. So Jules Day, if we get a good draw, she's going to be a big chance, I think.
Brent from the barrier draw, were you impressed with the run?
Oh, she went okay, Matty. You know, she drew the outside the second row and ended up back last on the fence. And look, she ran on as good as expected. Probably a better draw. She might have been a wee bit closer.
Tim Shenandoah, give us your thoughts on the run.
Yeah, look, she stuck on okay, Matt. Obviously, I got it wrong. Pulled from the 1-1, thinking I was going to follow the favourite rolled to the front. So, you couldn't knock her. You'd say a fault on my behalf. Pulling from the 1-1 to sit parked in a Group 1 is probably not a great look. But she whacked away okay.
Wide open, isn't it? So let's have a look at the market for the Harness Jewels, and barrier draw is going to be absolutely crucial here. Better Joy's back in play though, isn't she?
Very much so. Excellent she was. Dizzy Miss Lizzie, I think everybody's now aware she can win a Jewels or any race. New York Rain, who's a bit weak, but clearly was stuck on really well. There's travelled well. I think the top 4 will capture most people's imagination, Craig, and after that you're starting to get out to long odds. But the barrier draw here is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the one there that I would say, barrier related, that can run in the money is Caitlin Clark. And I'll give you some statistics on her. Her last 4 starts, she's drawn 10, 11, 12. And she's run 4th in all of them. The time that she got a good barrier draw, she drew barrier 1. She ran second at Al Mac and went 2:43. And I thought her run last week after drawing 10 was one that got home nicely off a hot speed when nothing made ground. Now she's 18 and 450. She could run a place.
Yeah, Lady Chatto back at the trials and winning at the trials there on Monday at Addington. All right, just on Addington, I see the KPC, the Kiwi Punters Challenge, which is run on show day. They've got a real enticement now, haven't they?
Yeah, what they have is the world's biggest race handicapping or punting competition. It's held in Las Vegas. It's 9th to 12th of February next year. Now, if you win the KPC, you get an all expenses paid trip to go. That's big, so the Kiwi Punters Challenge is getting a lot bigger. What I'm hearing is, and I can't prove this, so I can't tell you definitively, what's going to happen with the KPC in the next 16 months will be the single biggest punting competition, not only in New Zealand, in the Southern Hemisphere. What I'm hearing is correct, and my sources are pretty good. This is going to be huge, and I think it's going to involve the galloping industry. The KPC is going to become enormous and a far bigger part of our racing year, if what I'm hearing is right.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for that information. We're heading to a break. When we come back, a whole lot more to review from Addington, and of course look towards the Harness Jewels in 10 days' time.
We hope you stick around, because after the break we look at the run to the Jewels for the shining light amongst the 3-year-old trotters in Hine.
On the straight, if Ricky can let him go. Ruthless Kayla next, third quarter 29.3. It's President Royden. Enhine's gone up on his outside from Ruthless Kayla. Enhine, a neck on President Royden. Enhine just in front of President Royden, and the favourite's going to win. Enhine by a neck, President Royden.
Ricky, on the face of it, it was very impressive. You sitting behind the horse, what did you think?
I was still very impressive, but he probably wasn't at his best. He didn't feel like he did in Auckland, but the track's really hard tonight. I think they left it hard because it's going to rain and it's like concrete, and I think he prefers his tracks a lot softer, but that might be only an excuse, I don't know. But his gait just wasn't there tonight.
All right, moving forward, it must give you a wee bit of confidence knowing Greg will take it home and fix that sort of thing out?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. They've got a wee bit of homework to do, I think. I don't know if he liked the Auckland way around better, but he can trot a lot better than that.
Mark, what are your impressions of the run from President Royden tonight?
Yeah, it was a good run. He's proved that he's just not quite up there with Enhine, but he gave it a good shot tonight, and he didn't go down by much, and he was a clear second.
Wonderful example of 2 outstanding horsemen driving-wise there. He got pretty close, President Royden, and that'll give the connections of not only him, but people having a bet into that race that he can do the same on Jewels Day.
More importantly, he's got gate speed. We saw him blast off the gate there, so if he draws well, he looks a natural lead around Ashburton, whereas Enhine doesn't have that level of gate speed. It's a nervous time if you back Enhine or intend to backing him, fellas, because he was hoppy in the gate. He was a little bit hitching. Craig, it wouldn't bother me. I think he's still the best of them, but I would suggest that it's not going to be a walk in the park for him if President Royden or Habibti Inter can get in front of him. So I think it's down to a 3-horse race, this one, and I think that he's clearly the best of them, but it's going to be a nervous ride.
I think he was definitely feeling the tracking Hein on the night. He wasn't trotting as squirrely as was at Alexandra Park. He really got round there nicely and he seemed to be much more comfortable. Put it down to a couple of things, obviously the night and also the way the track had compressed to be very tough on him. So he's going to have to get a good barrier draw, because I do think in the duels over a mile for trotters, if you're drawing the second rate, it takes you so long to get round, Greg. We've seen it in the past that, you know, horses like Mombay, it just doesn't work out. If they run along in front, he may be the exception to the rule, but I think with President Royden having a good draw, he's clearly the second best trotter in the 3-year-old brigade at the moment, and he'll push Ingheim come Ashburton.
11 from 15 and over $250,000 sees him $1.50 favourite. President Royden at $5.50 and Habibi Inter rather at $7.50. Chevron Express still holding a little bit of money there at $9.50.
Yeah, I think this market's wrong. I think Ingheim deserves to be favourite. I think President Royden should be clear second favourite, and Habibti Inter maybe $5.50. For me, only for me, Chevron Express, Kiss Me I'm Loaded, they should be $12, $15.
Yeah, totally.
They need to be a lot further out.
Did you see the time Kiss Me I'm Loaded
Unbelievable.
last mile?
She is a very, very quick filly. Probably what she hasn't got is the mental frailties of the others, because they've been there and done that. She's having, start 3 coming up for
what
the
did you run her last mile and it was like 155?
150, yes, it might be a little bit quicker than that. But I mean, it was an incredible run afterwards. But again, you can't do it. You can't afford to give them a start and catch up. But she's really got ability and she's got speed.
No, do you want to take $10 for her to be sitting near last?
She'll be close to double that on
and that's
the
not slagging the horse. We're here to tip your winners. We're not here to praise horses. The top 3 have been there, done that, and 2 of them have gate speed. Draw is going to be crucial. Ingheim draws 1 to 5. He might be $1.20, $1.30, $1.40. He draws wide-ish, and Habibti Inter, President Royden draw 1 to 5. He might push $2.
All right, the 2-year-old trotting section, of course, for the Rubies, going to be an intriguing contest. Very open it is, but this horse here is really putting his hand up. His name is Majestic Man. This is the Sire Stakes 2-year-old champs at Group 2 level, and he sat wide on the track and he was too strong in the end.
Coming again from Renesmee, more shades of gold. Majestic Man, BJ Lindenny. Majestic Man's gone to the lead from BJ Lindenny. More shades of gold, and Majestic Man, massive win. Majestic Man beat BJ Lindenny.
Brad 2-year-old trotter's never easy, but this one just trots all the way and does things right.
Yeah, he's pretty smart, this horse, Matt. He's going to take a wee bit of ring craft to bloody be 100%. But once he gets there, he's going to be a pretty smart animal.
All right, talk us through the race.
He was probably a bit 50-50 on trotting early on in the early stages of the race, Matt, and it took him a while to settle down. He was pretty fractious early with a fair bit going on, but I'm hoping he'll come out of that as he matures a bit and gets a bit stronger. He should be a pretty good chance on the duels, all things going well.
Right, he was on the Unruly tonight. Any chance of coming off that for the duel?
I'll have to speak to Dad about it, Matt, but I don't imagine so because, as I say, he wasn't very safe early. He nearly galloped on 2 or 3 occasions in the first 800 metres, and if he can repeat the performance that he put in tonight, then he'll go there with a chance, even though he's on the Unruly.
Well, as Brad quite rightly said, Michael, he was going to talk to Dad about that. I can tell you he's likely to come off the Unruly. Yeah. They don't believe that in a race over a mile at Ashburton, that if they give up that advantage of being in the barrier draw, potentially off the front line, that they can win. So
One of Damoon did it. So not many horses have done it. Look, he probably could. I think he might be the strongest of this crop. There's a lot of good horses in there, but they're starting to weaken off. They've had some quite hard racing. Craig, I think everybody saw Rangiora, and we knew how good he was. The question for him is the manners, and that's going to be the key heading forward. A lot of these horses are looking to have little issues somewhere or just getting weak. I mean, the favourite on that occasion, One Muscle Hill, clearly wasn't at his best. This is the race which I've got no idea who's going to win, but I think it's great there's that much depth to this crop.
I totally agree. I think it's a market where 6 or 7 horses could win this of the brigade that are going round. I mean, Phil Williamson could have 3 in it if Springback Lockie can get to the track.
He's a 50-50 proposition.
But they've got the other one, the other Majestic in there as well. So good on him for getting possibly a quarter of the field into the final. They paid $6,000 late entry fee to get this horse in, so that was a big call, and they've got that back. He's a pretty good horse. He's won 3 from 4, and he's got a bit of speed. I'd like to see him get off the Unruly to have a bigger chance of winning the Jewels, but just on the Beaten Brigade, I don't think the half oppals were the go for Sunday Sun. I think they'll definitely come off. And I think on One Muscle Hill, the blinds will go back on him again just to sharpen him up.
Just with the Unruly, it's also different for a 2-year-old trotter. On what we're seeing for that bunch, half these horses will gallop. It's a terrible thing to say, but they probably will. If you're back off the back of them, you can still be 3 back on the outside at the 800, whereas in a 4-year-old trotter in a pacing race, it's a 12-length disadvantage. So I'm not too concerned about it if they don't choose to go that way.
OK, let's hear from the beaten drivers and get a line to where they're at leading to the Jewels.
Well, Matty, what did you make of the effort of BJ Lindeni?
He went super. Lovely wee trotter and good manners. He had the good draw, but he went real good too.
Be happy enough to take the mount on him in the Harness Jewels with a good run?
Yeah, well, it just depends what Dad's ones are doing, how many of those line up. But no, if he got a good draw, he'd definitely be a wee chance.
Todd Moore, Shades of Gold, what were your impressions of the run?
Real happy with him, Matt. He was a little bit keen. He got a little bit keen his last start as well, but he pulled hard tonight and just trotted nice in his gait. So, you know, it was a nice third. He blew up over his back. So hopefully we get a good draw for the Jewels. He'll be right there over a mile.
Dexter, she's a neat wee trotter. What did you think?
Yeah, good run, Matt. She made up a lot of ground, just probably was following One Muscle Hill and it couldn't take me into the race, and I was following Dickie's one. It couldn't take me into the race and just got a wee bit far behind them, but, you know, rounded off nicely.
Josh Paramount King, what were your thoughts on the run?
Yeah, good run, mate. You know, he's covered some ground from about the 1,000 metres. He's 4 wide to 3 wide, and, you know, on that clip it's pretty tough ask, but we're really happy with the run. He's hit the line good, and he had every right to get tired.
All right, nice to see him back in form too and trotting all of the way. Should give them some confidence leading towards the Jewels. Speaking of that, a late bloomer, a late comer getting into the Ruby was this horse here, Craig Thompson, Majestic Connie's. Ventured down to Invercargill, got the business done.
Yeah, and it was a 2,200 stand too. You don't see many 2-year-olds going from a stand. I'm not sure the brigade were that strong behind her, but she was very good because she took a long time to get to them at the winning post and then took off down the back straight. I think Maddie will drive this in the Jewels final.
She took a long time to get to the track. Basically, the usual route they go from Oamaru to Invercargill was snowed out, so Phil had to go the back way because he's cunning. And he said it was actually a miracle we got there. So great job from all the trainers involved, you know, to plough through the snow and or around it and get there last week. But for him, for her, boy, girl, him. Very important because obviously now in the Jewels with the big shot.
All right, Marquis de Sade as well got a late reprieve for the Jewels. This was winning the silver, and when you see these colours, it gives you, well, a bit of confidence, doesn't it?
It does. Obviously, he's a genius, Paul. We all know that. Can it win the Jewels? I don't think so. You still have a little bit of concern, the fact that you could run 6th in the final of this race, the main final, and not get any stake money to the Jewels. You can win the consolation and you do get stake money to the Jewels. Yep. To me, that's unfair.
Yeah, it's definitely an anomaly. Here is the market, and this has been reflected, Michael. What have we got? 9 under the $10 quote there.
It's probably the race where the barrier draws don't matter that much. As I said, half them will probably have a gallop on what we're seeing recently. So, good field, really deep field. I would say the best 2-year-old Jewels we've seen heading forward.
Absolutely, there's a lot of depth to it, but a few of them are on the downhill slide because they've been up for quite some time. Just on the Paul Nairn winner, he was very good, but you've got to take time and relevance. Was 8 seconds slower than what the other 2-year-olds
Majestic Man
went round later on the night. So, hey, he's a professional horse. He worked his way into the Jewels the right way and very well planned to get him there.
All right, speaking of that, a horse that made its way into the Jewels off the back of its last 3 runs has been Buster Brady, rejuvenated since heading to Regan Todd's. He's turned a few horses around, and he certainly has here. The last mile here was incredible, 153 and change, and this is him getting through on the inside of Classy Brigade.
Buster Brady and Waikiki Beach. Buster Brady's through and put a length on them. Getting through now, Piccadilly Princess. Buster Brady, though, in front, and Buster Brady won it. A neck on Piccadilly Princess.
Dexter, you could say he's a wee bit of an opportunist, Buster Brady. Well, he's taken the opportunity tonight.
Yeah, he's up against some nice ones tonight, Matt, and manners were good. Got himself into a good position and, you know, finished off strongly. So, yeah, Reg is doing a good job with him out of the beach and hopefully he can continue on to the Jewels.
Mark, Piccadilly Princess, what did you make of that?
Yeah, really pleased with the run. It was sort of more like her old self and a little bit unlucky. So Fingers crossed that we sneak her into the jewels, and she'd have to be hard to beat in that.
Nat Waikiki Beach, talk us through the run.
Oh, look, he was very good. I thought he stepped good. Ended up going around and sitting up outside. And he did kick my wheel once and he got a bit too keen, just past the bell. But look, I thought the run was full of merit and he'll benefit heaps from it.
He's won 2 of his last 3 as Buster Brady, and he was 4th in behind Heaven Rocks, but he pulled really hard in the other one. Bit of controversy here, and it's ongoing as well, about how Piccadilly Princess got through her gap.
Yeah, what happened was she was looking for a gap, and obviously Waikiki Beach was outside it and just squeezing it up a little bit. Mark's obviously yelled out, look out, I'm coming through, or whatever you yell out in those circumstances, and Netley's pulled it out. Look, it looks worse because they're stablemates, to be perfectly honest. Galloping, harness racing, all the time people are yelling out to each other, look out, and most of the time you see people give each other a bit of room.
Common sense.
I've got no issue with it. I mean, had she gone down, here's the start, of course.
And Cash and Flow was...
Cash and Flow gallop, which cost him dearly. Piccadilly Princess gets through. Buster Brady obviously got the right run behind the right horse. I've got no issue with what happened there. If anybody, Nathalie, Sam Otley, no ever who she is, male, female, cuts down on another horse and takes it out, legs out, well, then we'd all be screaming blue murder. Crucial part here, Buster Brady stepped well, gets around to the lead, and then Classy Brigade comes and takes the lead off it. That's the right place to be. Over 2 miles, last mile super quick. I thought Waikiki Beach, to be honest, was adequate, but you know, he hasn't won a race for a long time now. You start to get suspicious about when he is going to next win a race. Cash and Flow was good once he galloped. Greg, I believe... News. That noise that make the motor rakes. Can you make it again? Yeah, okay, some news on Classy Brigade.
Yeah, he comes out. He was disappointing in that. He, of course, won the Invercargill Cup in 3:53.5. He led up there and he wasn't at his best. Nigel
so that's confirmed. He's out of the jewels.
He's out of the jewels. He's his feet. He's a little bit sore in the feet. He's been managing in that, and you could argue brilliantly all season. But he'll be turned out now, set for the New Zealand Cup, and he's done a fantastic job.
He had a wonderful season. Ran a lot of placings. Of course, won all those cups, Invercargill Cup, Northern Southland Cup. So he's done a great job, and you know you can't go to the well too many times, especially with a horse like him. He's got a big season next season as a 5-year-old. But I thought on Piccadilly Princess, because she's the most key point out of this race, heading towards the jewels. I mean, I thought it was a much better performance by her. I thought she really ran to the line, Michael, strongly, and when we see the jewels market very shortly, she was, I think, into $1.50. I think she was about $1.70 prior to the jewels. So I still think that's value. I think if she draws 1 to 3 come Jewels Day, she could be the shortest price favourite going round.
Well, a couple of things happened there. First of all, she made it into the race. As it turned out, subsequent results, she still would have made it in. But more importantly, she travelled really well. Week before, she was being tapped up in a very fast last half. She won over a lot of confidence there. Now, most of the horses she's racing in the jewels, outside Arden's Choice, it was also more than adequate, are about rating 70 or 80 horses. Some are low 50s. So most of them would be willing on that run to concede a lead and chase Piccadilly Princess into a place. I agree with you. She draws 1 to 5, she might start $1.30. It's by no means over the line, but she stands out enormously here, then Arden's Choice, and there's a huge drop to the rest.
All right, the 4-year-old Emerald, we need to have a look at that, and a lead-up race for Mr Mojito, of course. Featured Myfield Marshall, looking to get back into winning form, get Dan Malecki to bring them home. Mr Mojito had got a beautiful run through on the inside of a few of them here, Michael, and the win looked to be his, but he was fresh, and I think that told.
Yeah, Matt Gregor drifted up the track. Let's get Dan to talk, bring them home, and then we'll talk through what you are seeing.
Coming again the outside, Mr Mojito and McGregor. Here comes Myfield Marshall over the top. Myfield Marshall down the outside, swamps them and got up. Right down the outside, Myfield Marshall has beaten Mr Mojito.
They got home in 59.6 in a
$75,000.
Yeah, in a $75,000 race. What reflected that though was the 41.5 lead time, and the first half of the last mile being about 58 seconds. So yeah,
super quick lead time, really fast. Unusual race. Matt Gregor got the lead and drifted out down the back straight. Mr Mojito got through, but you can see him there. His lack of race fitness hurt him. He blew out. So he's coming to the jewels. That's no doubt. Grant Campbell and Kieran Manning bringing him across, and Kieran will probably drive him. Myfield Marshall, though, well-found race by Tim Butt. He realises the horse has no immediate future here. Wins that 75k, Group 2. Lovely drive by Ants. Didn't panic when they were going hard and take off too early. Heads now to the Len Smith Mile against, who we'll see shortly, Orange Agent, Lenny the Shark, possibly Hector JJ, Tiger Tara. Really good race coming up on June 26. I think he's better placed in Australia, Field Marshal, than he is in New Zealand. I don't think he's well suited to here, so I think Tim will probably leave him there or spend a lot of time there with him. Mr. Mojito, can he win the Jewels? Semi-doubtful, but it's good to have him here because we know he's a class horse. Heaven Rocks, fellas, I think it's a little bit like Ingheim. The best version of Heaven Rocks, $1.50, you'd be comfortable with. If he gets a little bit wayward, but I'll be honest with you, boys, I can't back Waikiki Beach to beat him at 420.
What's the update with him regarding off the unruly?
He's staying on the
definitely staying on the unruly. So I don't think you're getting any shorter than that than $1.50 because of that point. The draws are irrelevant for him. He's going to start at that point no matter what happens.
I tell you what, I don't think his dividend's going to change much because of people's opinion on him. But what it's going to change for is when you look through it and try and find a horse to beat him, I think you can make a case 2 or 3 weeks ago, Waikiki Beach. Yeah, that's cool. Waikiki Beach leads. Can Heaven Rocks sit parked outside him and beat him? I'm feeling more and more the answer's yes.
Yep. What I would say quickly about Waikiki Beach, I know he's been beaten and he's not in the form that he showed a long time ago, but what I would say, he's been beaten by Lazarus. I don't think the 2 miles was really his go last week, and he set outside a pretty good one in Classy Brigade and beat him home. I think he's going okay. I wouldn't surprise me if he pushed Heaven Rocks in the Jewels because of the unruly draw, and if he got a good draw. He'll start shorter than $5 for sure if he gets a good draw.
All right, 4-year-old Diamond we need to have a look at as well, and we've been talking about Piccadilly Princess. Here she is into $1.50. Arden's Choice, 24s into $4. Most of that as a result of Dream About Me coming out of this.
And Golden Goddess.
And Golden Goddess. Ultimate Desire is a dead set miler in my opinion, and this race suits her right down to the ground. Not saying she can't win over further distance, but she's got good speed, she gets on the speed, she's a terrific place chance.
I've spoken to a lot of trainers involved in this race and they said, look, now that Piccadilly Princess is in, we're happy, jump to the marker pegs if we draw that way, hand up to her, get towed into a Group 1 placing, maybe a 152 mile. That's the way we end our season. A lot of horses here, Greg, I think the trainers know probably can't win unless the favourites are unlucky. Let's not forget Arden's Choice ran 3rd in an Auckland Cup, so she's a clear danger. But when you watch them last week in the Winter Cup, they're relatively close at the top of the straight. Piccadilly Princess pinned 2 lengths on Arden's Choice.
Yeah. The last 2 weeks, race 7 at Addington Raceway has been a crucial race with a lead to the Jewels. When we return, you get a chance to have a look at the fixer doing the business.
After the break, we look at performances from both current and former All-Stars stars, while a former Jewels winner retains her royal mantle, taking out the Queen of the Pacific.
Quarter 30.2, the fixer leads in. Eamon Maguire's 2 lengths away, and then AG's White Sox and Forgotten Highway. It's the fixer though, past the 125, getting away from Eamon Maguire. Forgotten Highway went to 3rd, but the fixer races away, and the fixer wins it by 4. Beat Eamon Maguire, Forgotten Highway, and AG's White Sox.
Pretty smart field of 3-year-olds you've beaten there with this guy, Nat.
Yeah, look, I was pretty damn confident with him. You know, I didn't want to be unlucky. He's trained super through the week. I really quite like him. I think he's a horse on the up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, a bit later in the season or sort of come November, this horse will be a pretty damn good force to be reckoned with. He's a nice horse.
Dexter, you drew the outside on this horse. What were your impressions of the run?
Yeah, like he did a bit of work off the gate. It was a really good run, but the other one was too good at the end of the day, Matt.
So that was Dexter Dunn talking about the 3rd-placed Derby runner, of course, and Eamon Maguire, beaten up there by the fixer. Week before Stars Align did something similar to a similar field. I can tell you Stars Align will be driven by Johnny Cox, and Tim Williams will drive this horse in the Jewels.
Gee, he was brutal, and that was just a beat-up job. I mean, Eamon Maguire's a really good horse, and okay, he may improve, but he was outclassed here by the fixer. There's a little bit of Ultimate Machete about him. He's a big tractor of a horse. Can he beat Ultimate Machete, as we see Eamon Maguire showing really good gate speed here? Look, maybe he can, maybe he can't. It'll be interesting to see where these All-Stars horses go over this weekend. Will they go to the Ashburton workouts, which are the Jewels workouts, on Saturday? I believe they could be heading to Monday, a private set of workouts at Addington.
Yep.
Now, that's really interesting for Ultimate Machete we haven't seen for months. More importantly, more the better. We have not seen him for 3 months.
Well, he trialled.
He trialled last week.
But I mean, we haven't seen him in a race.
Race day, absolutely,
And
very
what's
hard.
more is he's penalised by being rated 102,
Yeah.
and he can't race in anything where he can possibly win. So he's a prime example of a horse who's been beat up pretty badly by the rating system, considering he's barely won a race this season.
Absolutely. Just on this bloke, he's only had 7 starts, and one of those starts he beat Vincent through Cup Week. So he has got the talent to be a real dual threat, depending on the draws. But he's coming up against Ultimate Machete. He's coming up, obviously, against more the better. Stars Align was fantastic last week. The All-Stars will have probably 4 of the top 5 favourites going into the final. But there is still the horses like Eamon Maguire that are there, the likes of, obviously, Forgotten Highway that's coming through, Greg. It's a very good, strong bunch of 3-year-olds, but at this stage, and what I saw at the trials last week, I thought Ultimate Machete hit the line very well, and I thought more the better, even though the lack of fitness, actually they got to the line better. So very interested to see what happened with the workouts this week.
I thought Eamon Maguire and AG's White Sox, a whole bunch of horses, let it ride. About a month ago, I thought, you know, give them the right barrier draw, this could be a contest. On last week, you can't say that anymore. I mean, on last week, the Fix is going better than them. I'm not saying he's a better horse forever, but at the moment, he's going better than them. And whether there's circumstances I'm not aware of, but it's very hard to make a case that they can turn that around on him, let alone Ultimate Machete.
Star Galleria, the jury's out.
Yeah, disappointing, Greg. So, yeah, I think it's at around $300 in the market at the moment, so I don't think it'll make the top 12 unless there's a few withdrawals. But I really like the All-Stars up-and-comers. The proven ones have been there, done that. Ultimate Machete and more the better. It's these up-and-coming 2 Stars Align who smashed them at Auckland in 36, comes out and wins from an awful draw last week. And then Deja Vu a week later, the Fix, who I thought was great first up, locked wheels with Mongolian Hero first up down south, and then comes out and what I suggest was a large betting plunge, because it's happened 2 weeks in a row, comes off. So it's exciting times heading to the Jewels in 10 days.
Of course, we had a previous Jewels winner come out and beat the free-for-all trotters. Her name, Masandai. She led. That surprised me somewhat, Craig. I didn't expect that to happen, but once she found the front, she dominated from the top end and was left to the rest to chase her down.
I'll be honest, this mare I can't catch because she's got all the ability in the world, but she's an absolute doofus from a stand. She gets to a mobile, she's a different proposition. Surprised me the gate speed like you found here, Greg, because I didn't see her leading. But once she found the front and she controlled the tempo, the other horses never worked into the race. I'm talking Marcoola, Wilmer's Mate. The favourites never got into it, and it was the horses on the speed that fought the finish out. We grabbed the start here. It's only her and Tornado Valley that come off the gate. The rest of them basically pull off and go back in the field, and that allowed her to dominate in front, Michael, and from there she was always going to be hard to catch.
And well done to Bruce. I mean, this horse has come out of the All-Stars. It's probably the most forgotten Jewels when it's still racing. One of Jewels 2 years ago beating Highgate and Wilmer's Mate, who have gone on to be Group 1 winners, as is Conan Bridge. So she's won a Jewels, and you sort of forget about that. But Bruce Negus has got her off Mark and Natalie, and he has got her back to that type of form. Can she win? Probably. Other horses in this grade, though, gee, there's some question marks. I'm not sure where Le Mans at. Marcoola was point blank disappointing. Wilmer's Mate was unlucky, as was Temporale. This is now a very open division, as the market will show, and again, barrier draw is crucial. Pid Marcoola, barrier 2, he'll still start favourite on Jewels Day. But that's all not talking about the horse, who is the small elephant in the room. That's Dark Horse. Never raced open class, did beat an open class Group 1 winner last start, but it wasn't a true open class race. It's now $2.40 to win the Jewels. I put that to Nathan Williamson yesterday, and Nathan said, I can't believe this. He said, this is the best horse I've trained. I love it. $2.40? Really interesting time for this crop, because so many of the bits and the pieces, we don't know where they all fit together. Probably the horse which worries me the most, fellas, Marcoola. He didn't look like he put in last week.
No, he wasn't happy at all. So let's hear from those beaten drivers.
Colin, can you just give us your thoughts on Le Mans' run tonight?
Well, it didn't go to plan, Matt, I can tell you that. We just got beaten out of the gate. Then I got pushed out on the fence. I thought he ran home good in tight quarters. You know, he's definitely a horse with a future, put it that way.
Well, Tony, the Rowe Cup winner, what did you think of his run tonight?
Yeah, he got home good. He got a little bit lost early. First time left-handed since the Breeders' Crown, like 8 months ago, whatever it was, you know. Yeah, I was pleased with the way he got home, and yeah, so hopefully we're all good for a couple of weeks' time.
Well, Clint, post-race, what did you think of the run?
Well, the plan was to give him a soft run. I think I managed to do that until about the 600 or 700 when we come out 3 wide, but I sort of tried to trail up Haberty Ivy, and when it came to the crunch, he didn't really respond, so it was a bit disappointing.
Right, in terms of how well you know he can trot, where was he tonight compared to where he can be?
Well, he obviously didn't show it on the track, but I would have thought that before that race he was fairly good. The vets checked him and his heart rate comes straight back down, so I think it's just one of those things where he hasn't tried much.
All right, in terms of moving forward to the Jewels, it might be a silly question, but what do you do now?
Oh, well, just carry on, Matt. We'll take him to the trial next week. And yeah, just we're committed now. We'll just press on and hopefully we can improve him.
Yeah, it's in a state of flux, his career at the moment, isn't it, Mark Caller? From $1.65 out to $4, you were saying off camera before, he will still go around favourite if he draws 1 to 3.
I think Clint needs to take him outside and have a harsh word with him. That's what he needs to do. The dark horse thing's fascinating. I'm not saying she can't win. I had one of the owners email me last week and, you don't know how good she is. Well, I'm not saying how good she is, and I don't really care how good she is. She's the best horse Nathan's had. But she's up against open class Group 1 winners, and she's $2.40. For me, that's way too short. I hope she wins. Nathan Williamson's a good young horseman. It sounds like the owners are a good bunch of people, but we're not here to praise horses and horse people. We're here to tip you about odds. $2.40 is ridiculous.
Yeah, I backed her at $11 probably 4 weeks ago because I thought she was a mare that's
Can we
progressing.
have some of that?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Okay.
But I did think that of horses that I've clocked in the last probably 10 years, I thought Mombay's the fastest trotter I've seen, probably for a long time. This mare over 800 metres is up there. She is very, very quick. But in saying that, she's, again, not the finished product, and Michael's right, she hasn't beaten a true open-class trot field. She beat Ere I Come off the back of him to win. I think she's a mare that has high speed. The mile will suit her, and Ashburton's her track. I wouldn't be taking 240 at Cambridge. Ashburton, I wouldn't be taking it either, but I think she'd get away with it there.
Intriguing, that Ruby for sure. Looking forward to the barrier draw for that one. Let's go across the Tasman though. See where the Orange Agent's just been blitzing them. Here's the man we had on last week, the puppet, doing the business. Anthony Butterboard Rocker Band got her in the right spot. Dan Malecki to bring them home in the Group 1 Queen of the Pacific.
28, and it's charged away, the Orange Agent. My Lucky Bell to the outside of Rocker Band, but it's the Orange Agent out by 10 metres. Hasn't pulled any further in front. Rocker Band holds on gamely for a second with My Lucky Bell, but the Orange Agent much too good. The Orange Agent first, Rocker Band second. In third spot...
Well, mission accomplished there. 3 from 3. Did it in very good style. Look, she probably knocked off that last 100 metres.
She waited for them, eh?
Yeah.
She just bolted, and great drive by the puppet. She arrived home today, and then she'll head back for the Len Smith Mile, which is a lead-up race, $30,000 about 2 weeks before Len Smith, middle of June, then to the Len Smith. Tony Herlihy will drive her because Chris Alford's committed to Lenny the Shark. Tony Herlihy has never driven a winner at Menangle.
Incredible
He'll
stat.
drive on next start. It's a $30,000 mares race, and she will absolutely spank them.
We need you to vote on the best jewels ever over the last 10 years, and we've been going through each category, of course. The last one for us, the 4-year-old Emerald, and this has been a deep, deep crop. Both Michael and I voted for Franco Emirate. Craig Thompson, you went for Changeover, and I was talking to Trevor from Hallswell, who told me he thought it was Auckland Reactor. So this was an outstanding performance, 3 wide the whole race. Jimmy Curtin in the jewels colours. This is how he did it.
Romeo, Franco Emirate, not even the 9's going to stump the lump. Franco Emirate wins and has won by a length and a quarter, and beaten Gomeo, Romeo, Smiling Shard and Rustly Rascal.
Those horses I just reeled off, of course. Monkey King was a winner of this as well.
Chris and me.
It's probably been Terra to Love.
It has been. It's the glamour race of the day. It really is. That was a staggering win. It was 3 wide the entire trip. So here are the best ever jewels winners in each division according to us. We couldn't make a decision on the 3-year-old Ruby. So you get to vote, Greg, and basically send us your emails and say this is what we or you think is the best one. Gee, there's some wonderful horses here, boys. And you look back over that and it sort of reminds you what a rich day it is. What a great thing it's been for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, there's been multiple good 4-year-olds, and that grade was hard. I picked Changeover because he drew barrier 8 and he was 3 wide for a majority of the trip till down the back where he burned off Got to Go Cullen. But strong 4-year-old, and this year's 4-year-old brigade is going to be as good.
Yeah.
When you assess that, do you look at who they beat or do you look at the gravity of the performance? Because who they beat takes a bit of doing, whereas like Kiwi Ingenuity didn't beat a lot, but she was staggering when she won.
And I tell you what's amazing is how many of those came from bad draws. I mean, Changeover came from 8 around Cambridge, Franco Emmett from 9. I mean, it's been bad draws in the 4-year-old brigade. There's probably been one brigade that hasn't worried.
So we'll name the winner next week of our best ever Jules winners.
And we'll factor in what people are thinking as well. So we'll let you know. Okay, we need to move on to the Cobalt and Crandell-Getty and the fine that he's copped as a result of 5 positives. You've done some research on this, Mike.
Yeah, we have. Let's give you the facts first of all. Last week, Crandell-Getty pleaded guilty to producing 4 horses on 5 occasions with Cobalt in their system. Now, he didn't plead guilty to giving it to them for any performance-enhancing reasons. Basically, here's a tonic he uses, which is McGrath's Equine Mineral Mix. They do that, and he puts it into the feeds. He's been doing it for 20 years, or more than 10 years, maybe 20 years. What happened is the recommendations from the vets, Andrew Grierson, was that they do not believe this was an attempt to performance enhance these horses. It was a regular feeding procedure. Cran was fined $32,000 plus $2,000 in costs. The reason that was so high is because Cran has had 2 previous offences for something similar, which is basically administering without trying to increase performance via feeding mechanisms. The problem for this is, these are very big fines, I think, and Cran can probably cop them. Not a lot of fun for him. It's going to cost him a lot more once you pay back stakes and that sort of stuff. If this happens to a battling trainer, and most of the people watching the show are battling trainers, guys, if the numbers are this big, and we saw in the Gallops it was $50,000 for Lance and Andrew Scott, would it break them? Would it break them? Would it end their careers?
The answer is yes. Yeah.
So I think if it was intended to increase performance and enhance performance, they should be disqualified. And there's no indications that any of these have been intended to do that. Are these fines too big if they are mistakes or ignorance? I believe so. And I think that for most trainers it would break them. That's what I think most people watching this are concerned about.
All right, thanks for that, Michael. News coming out of Alabar and Nevelier, of course, with the rock and roll dance. They combined to bring that stallion here. Now they're doing it with Always Be Mickey, winning, of course, at the Red Mile and the fastest ever 146. He'll stand for 7,000 plus GST, and you'll have live semen here in New Zealand.
Yeah, 12,000 up in the US too. Fastest miler of all time, and a great commentary.
Always Be Mickey pacing home strongly. Shambhala second. Always Be Mickey is heading down to the line. Always Be Mickey in 146.
And of course, the crucial part to that is no Camfella blood in him as well, so that means he should cross very well with many Bettor's Delights mares, as we know. What have we got ahead for you, harness racing wise, around the nation? Meeting 7, race 7. Sorry, there'll be 7 races at 5:37. A lot of 7s there. $40,000 pick 6 there Thursday. Then we head to Addington Raceway, 5:28 the start time for the 10 race card from there, and further north we'll be at Alexandra Park. They also have 10 and $25,000 pick 6 heads to where the big fish will be. He'll give us the information for that. Invercargill, 10 race card there, early start, 11:15, 11 race card at Invercargill on Saturday and Sunday. We will be at Rangiora. $3,000 bonus first fours. Just on the first fours, there'll be $10,000 into every first four on Jules Day as well, and there's a $25,000 pick 6 there at Rangiora. All right, what about our best bets of the week? Here they are. Craig Thompson, you are with Gentle Giant, goes round in a deep race, a $12,000 race on Friday night.
Stable have, I think, 4 in that race, Greg. I thought he was very good in the non-tote behind his stablemate. Watched him at the trials prior to that. I think he's on the up and up, but not easy. The 2-year-olds taking on the older horses and overcoming a second row draw, but I think he can do it.
Yeah, Obutama's in the right race for her. Alexandra Park, race 8 should be winning that, I would have thought, Greg.
All right, Royal Tribute, who's fresh up, of course, for Paul Court, should be hard to beat in that. Went to the handicapping meeting last night in Canterbury. Biggest thing to come out of it, there were 90 horse people there, which just shows you there was a lot of feeling in the room. Not a lot came out of it, to be honest. The 4 things, the changes they've asked for to go to the subcommittee in June that we discussed last week, like no points for placings and very little discretion, that was discussed again. So all of those things are going to go forward. It's definitely in a state of flux, this handicapping system. There's a lot still to be changed. I thought Harness Racing New Zealand handled it as good as they possibly could, Andrew Morris and Edward Rennell, but yeah, changing times at the moment.
Good that there were so many there. I mean, in the North Island, we probably haven't got the numbers that you guys in the South Island there. And probably the most relevant point will be the age paces, Greg. 2 and 3 year olds, maybe something has to be done
Well,
about
they're certainly looking at how high they can go, the bandwidths there. So.
Well, I think, yeah, you've got to have a capping. You've got to have a capping for the 2 and 3 year olds, and whether it's 65 for 2 year olds or 80 for 3 year olds, we'll find out. But I don't think they'll go back to the old system.
The other direct link was through programming and stake bearing places, so there's a bit to be talked about there. Michael?
There is barrier draws noon. They should be on the HRNZ website 12:30 on Friday. While you think that's half the job done, there's always a twist in the tail. Let's not forget Auckland reacted with scratch during the week. There's always a twist in the tail. This time next week, we'll talk about what that twist is. A 90-minute preview show here on Trackside Next Week for Jules.
Yep, the next 2 weeks we will have 90 minutes for you. That's been your box seat. Thanks to the boys. We'll see you in 7 days' time.